But I want to jump to a follow-up question, what we were just discussing, which is you have so many different types of individuals in organizations. How do you and how can large-scale organizations maintain employee well-being when running a global remote-first organization with thousands of employees? Because it would seem, based on some of the research, it really is different strokes for different folks. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so one of the first things we've seen, Seth, is you can't just rely on the moral argument. You've actually got, from a business perspective, actually map it back to profitability and economic outcomes, and ultimately the economic outcomes of a country. So GDP being the best measure we have. And so what we see businesses that get this right doing, actually saying, as we look to transform our business, as we look to take out costs, as we look to perform M&A, integrate AI, we know that that puts a huge stress on the organization. But that stress is not equally felt. The physical, the essential worker in a manufacturing plant that has to be there 5 days a week has a set of physical well-being and probably financial well-being issues that are different to someone who works in technology that has the ability to come in maybe 2 days a week. So really segmenting the workforce to understand who's impacted, and ultimately, how does that impact affect the economic outcomes of what we're trying to do, business as usual or transformation. So one of the papers that we wrote, and it's similar, some of the perspectives similar to Kriti's paper, we basically said, we've got to take this argument off the table about well-being is right for society and right for people. It is, but it actually drives economic outcomes for us all, for all of society and business. And what we did is actually modeled those links out and actually encourage policymakers to work with business to say, as we're implementing technology, as we're spending literally millions and billions of dollars on the next AI and digitizing our business, what is that doing to the workforce? Are we creating psychological safety? Are we increasing economic hardship? Is there a physical safety issue at play? And looking at this in all types of businesses and modeling that back to your economic scorecard that you have as a business, to say, what is the link between investments in well-being and profitability? No longer should these programs be separate and us doing it because it's the right thing to do coming out of a pandemic, or it's the right thing to do for vulnerable communities. We need to address all of it, but kind of start with the economic kind of output. Because my experience with business people and policymakers, that's when we start taking this seriously. When we map it back to outcomes of businesses driving, but we also have some healthy transparency around the disclosures that they're making. So that's kind of the aspects. And then just one last point. So much of this well-being discussion is it's the employer's responsibility or it's the employees. And what we're also saying is both are right. Leaders have a huge responsibility in organizations to get this right, but employees, candidates, students, prospective workers, gig workers also have to keep pushing the envelope to say, we demand fair pay, we demand good working conditions, we demand non-toxic bosses or cultures. And so I look forward to kind of exploring some of those with the panel as well.
Yeah, great. Thank you.